Dominating!
What's up, guys? Mr. Sir 1995, and today we're taking a bit of a break from the usual gaming and stuff, bringing you what I call a Super Bowl 50 prediction, which is pretty much what it is. So this is going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to be a real discussion, me throwing out my points on what the strengths and weaknesses of the two teams, and that eventually will boil down to me predicting who's going to win the Super Bowl. And then the second part is we're going to take it to the cards. We're going to let the cards decide who's going to win it for themselves, and we'll see whose point is right, or if they agree with each other. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Wanted to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each team. Let's start with the Panthers. Carolina, they're 15-1. They've basically cruised through the playoffs. Oh my God! Just ignore that, okay? Just ignore that. Anyway, Carolina, they basically cruised through the playoffs. I mean, they did have a little bit of a scare in the final quarter against Seattle, but they destroyed Arizona in the championship game. And really, as an overall team, the Panthers are excellent. I feel like they're good on both sides of the ball. Cam Newton is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They've got great receivers like Greg Olsen, and Jonathan Stewart is one of the best running backs I've ever seen. And on the other side of the ball, you got guys like Luke Kuechly, and the rest of the Panthers' defense is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they've managed to hold a lot of teams to very few yards in a game. The thing that seems to be their biggest problem so far this year is their tendency to get overconfident, and I think that comes from them being for the most part, they're a younger, less experienced team, and they get overconfident with themselves, especially if they have a big lead in the third quarter, and that allows the other team to come back and give them a scare. Seattle did that in the second half of the divisional round playoff game, if you remember. And when you get overconfident like that, especially against an experienced quarterback like Peyton Manning, that can come back to bite you, especially in a game as big as the Super Bowl. So if I were the Panthers, I would want to try to keep a level head no matter what the score is. And that's going to be difficult, especially for, like I said, a less experienced team as themselves. But it's something they've got to do if they want to win this game. Now, on to the Broncos. Yes, they have Peyton Manning, and he's healthy, but we've seen Manning choke in big games before. Yes, he won that Super Bowl against the Bears all those years ago, but he's been in two since then, and he just couldn't perform. And not to mention all the championship games he's been in since then. And let's face it, the Broncos' main strength is their defense right now. Their offense is not producing the kind of points they need to overcome a high-powered offense like what the Carolina Panthers have. And I'm sure you saw in the championship game against New England, they won that game on the strength of their defense. I mean, the last play of the game was a defensive interception on that two-point conversion the Patriots tried, and it seems to me like their offense just isn't capable of putting enough points on the board to keep up with, like I said, a high-powered offense like the Panthers. Their defense, on the other hand, we all know that the defense played a heroic game. I'm gonna just come out and say they played a heroic game against New England in the championship game. Tom Brady, who is absolutely, as much as anybody might not like him, he is, without dispute, one of the best quarterbacks that has ever played the game of football. And he's dangerous. You just can't keep him open, and the Broncos defense didn't. They did get burned a few times, but for the most part during that game, they held Tom Brady in check. They managed to get to him quickly, keep the pressure on him, and that is the kind of thing you need to do in games like that. But against Cam Newton, I am not so sure the blitz is a good idea, because we've seen before, when a team tries to bring the blitz against Cam Newton, he can easily just slip between two defenders and take off like a bullet because, having a mobile quarterback like Newton, who also has an arm on him, that is a great asset for the Panthers. It's like having an extra running back in their arsenal. They've got Jonathan Stewart, they've got Mike Tolbert at fullback, but now they also have Cam Newton, who is basically a running quarterback in a lot of ways, but he's also got a great arm on him, which makes him even more dangerous because should he decide to not completely take off with the ball, he can still scramble out of the pocket. He can avoid pressure and still manage to find an open man downfield and hit him. So I think the Broncos need to worry more about man-on-man coverage, man coverage. Don't do zone coverage because that'll leave Cam Newton wide open to take off. And just make sure to focus on keeping Cam Newton contained. Don't try to stop him in the backfield. Don't be going for sacks. Don't be trying to blitz too much because Cam will burn you every time if you do that. Try to keep him contained. Make sure he can't get big yard situations. Try to keep his receptions to short, or keep his passing to short passes. And if you're on the Broncos offense, the Broncos don't really have that much of a running game. So Peyton Manning is going to have to pass the ball, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed it, but over the past couple of seasons, Manning's passes have been getting a little more sloppy. They're not coming out as tight spirals anymore. They're getting a little wobbly. A lot of them are off target, underthrown. I feel like that's a product of his arm, his shoulder, and his neck injury, especially. But as he's getting older, he's losing strength, and I think that is going to be his biggest problem, because if he starts trying to throw underneath on the short passes, there's a good chance that the Panthers are going to be right there to make the play every time. So he needs to focus, and he needs to hope that his passes are on target enough to where his receivers can get to them. Okay, so I have discussed the teams. Now it is time for me to make my prediction as to who is going to win Super Bowl 50. Now, before I make my prediction, let's just think about this. Super Bowl 50, folks. This is the biggest Super Bowl ever. No matter what the score is going to be at the end, this is the 50th Super Bowl, the Golden Super Bowl. It's so great it had to have an actual number instead of a Roman numeral in its name. So, no matter who wins Sunday, it's going to be remembered just because of that. Now, on to my prediction. I predict the winner of Super Bowl 50 will be the Carolina Panthers. And I'll tell you why. Because, like I said earlier, their offense is great, their defense is great, and I just don't think that Peyton Manning has what it takes to get past the defense. Now the Broncos' defense might be enough to stop Cam Newton and the offense, but on defense, the Panthers are absolutely superb, and I just don't think that the Broncos' offense has what it takes to break through. I just don't see it. So there's my prediction. Carolina wins it. I'm not going to give any kind of idea of a score because I've never really been good at that. But Carolina, I think, will be the champions of Super Bowl 50, unless that's and this alludes back to what I first said at the beginning of the video. Unless they get overconfident, because overconfidence has been what's killed them before. In late games. Yeah, they won 15 games in the regular season, but a lot of them were close, and only after the second half. Or only during the second half. So they need to keep their confidence level to a reason. They need to keep their confidence at a reasonable level. Don't get overconfident, but don't allow themselves to get too humble that they start feeling shaken. Just keep it at a reasonable level. Anyway, that's who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. Now, on to the Cards, who are going to make their prediction as to who's going to win. Okay, so here we are getting ready to do the Cards. I have my deck of cards right here, and we're going to see who the Cards predict is going to be the winner of Super Bowl 50. Now, before we get started, I'd like to explain the rules a little bit. the home team is usually the black cards. Check out my Facebook profile. I left a complete rule book on there. I don't feel like explaining the whole rule book right now. Just give a basic rundown. Black is home team, red is away team, and since Carolina is the designated away team, they're going to be the red cards. So that means Denver's going to be the black cards. Let's see who the cards think is going to win. All right, 2 cards per quarter. All right, that's a pretty low-scoring affair so far, 3-2 in Carolina's favor. Uh-oh, Denver comes back big in the second quarter. That's a 22-3 advantage they've got going on there. Oh, and even bigger. That's 21 unanswered points, folks. I want you to understand that. That's 43 to 3 right there. All right. All right, so Carolina got some points going at the end there, but the final score, according to the cards, is Denver 48, Carolina 13. So there you have it, folks. That's how Carolina is going to. That's how the Super Bowl is going to go down. Super Bowl 50 prediction right there in the cards. So thank you guys for watching this video. We'll get back to regular gaming videos before long, and I'm Mr. Sir 1995. Peace out.